Surprise! Crumbley verdict's happening. I just got notification about it, so I don't expect there to be many people that's in here. That's okay, but I just wanted to record my reaction to it as it happens live. So I'm going to present the screen. If no one pops in here, that's okay. This is for posterity. Crumbley verdict is about to come in. I didn't want to miss. I wanted to be able to react live on camera, so I didn't schedule anything. I just popped in here. And thanks, Morgan, for giving me a heads up on this. Let's go, let's go, let's go. This is one of those rare times, you know, it's an all or nothing. Like with Rittenhouse, we didn't know. Maybe he'd be found innocent on Rosenbaum, but guilty on one of the others. This one, it's all or nothing. All or nothing. This is way more than expected. Yeah. Just pop on live, no notification. I should probably show my community that I'm live. I gotta find my this thing on YouTube. I gotta find myself on YouTube. Oh, people are gonna be mad at me because I didn't get a chance to have a Rumble stream. Takes too long. Takes too long. I'll try to get them up. Let's see if I can get them in. I should tell locals. Take care of locals. So we can get you into locals. Oh, good. I got into locals. All right. Sorry. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. You're staring at the seat of my pants because that's what I'm flying by. No one come in the cockpit. That would not be good. I gotta tell you, I'm impressed with you YouTube folk. I got 320 in like 5 minutes without any notification. You guys are good. We got this. We got this. We got this. I am curious on you, Linda. I'm very curious about you because you're my diehard lefty in here. Are you hoping for guilt or not guilty? I assume whatever position I have, you take the opposite. Okay, cool. Weird being on your side of things. Weird being on your side of things, Linda. Verdict's coming in right now.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Shirley Matthews presiding. Your Honor, calling People v. Jennifer Crumbley, case number 22279-990, FH.
Good afternoon, Karen McDonald on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Mark East on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, I'm Shannon Smith on behalf of Jennifer Crumbley, who sits to my left.
All right, are you ready for the jury?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to ask when the jury reads their verdict. After that, I want everyone to remain seated.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, I agree. He's almost definitely cooked.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I really want the audience to stay seated after when the verdict's read and after that. And after that.
While I'm up on the video, I can make it a little louder. Good job, you.
All rise for the jury.
All right.
Good afternoon, you may be seated.
And my lucky blazer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been informed that you have a verdict. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you the correct person?
I am.
Could you please read your verdict?
Individually?
Sure.
Okay. On count 1 of involuntary manslaughter as to Madison Baldwin, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 2 of involuntary manslaughter in regards to Tate Muir, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 3, as to involuntary manslaughter regarding Hannah St. Juliana, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And in count 4 of involuntary manslaughter against Justin Schilling, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Thank you for allowing me to be seated. And I'm going to ask the close poll jury.
Juror in seat number 1, was that and is that your verdict?
It is.
Juror
Loser.
in seat number 2, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number
Doofus.
3, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror
Bitch.
in seat number 5, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jerk.
Juror in seat number 6, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror
Moron.
in seat number 7, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in
Coward.
seat number 8, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in
Idiot.
seat number 11, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat
Loser.
number 12, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in
You
seat
suck.
number 13, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in
Moron.
seat number 14, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Schmuck.
Juror in seat number 16, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Bunch of freaking
Thank you
cowards.
very much, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that this is one of the hardest things you've ever done.
Yeah, sucking
I'm gonna ask
ass.
you to return to the jury room. The two remaining alternates are also going to join you, and I'll be with you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All rise for the jury.
Losers.
All right, you may be seated. Time is read oath, and I'm considering April 9th at 9 o'clock in the morning for sentencing with that.
That should be fine, Judge. Thank you.
Ms. Smith.
April 9th at 9 o'clock is fine, thank you.
I'm going to ask everyone to remain seated while the defendant is taken out of the courtroom. Okay?
All rise. You may be seated.
Run from the police or run from a mob that wanted them dead and then decide to convict them? Pathetic. Pathetic. This is so pathetic. You just look at that stupid smug smile of that jackass. You just made America a crappier place. Way to go. Way to go. Idiots. Oh, let's go hug the families. And look, I feel bad for the families. Don't get me wrong on that. I feel really bad for the families, but throwing an innocent woman in jail for it is not going to bring back their departed ones. They were tragically cut down. No one should mistakenly think for a second that I don't recognize that the pain that they feel is far greater than almost anyone can imagine, than I can imagine. I recognize I cannot empathize with them. You hopefully cannot empathize with them. Anyone who hasn't seen their child get cut down for no reason by a completely terrible monster cannot really empathize with the pain and anguish that these parents felt. But when a mob is able to basically rise up and basically say, we're going to pass judgment on whoever it is that's associated with, related to, or has anything to do with this, and I guess they're done there now with their stupidity. If a mob is able to rise up and punish someone simply because they're associated with little basis to explain why it is that this person should be held accountable, that we don't basically account for the fact that this was so ridiculously impossible for any parent to be able to predict, that the school couldn't predict, that nobody could predict, and yet for one reason or another, this jury says, oh yeah, this woman should have been Nostradamus and realized that her kid is a maniac, that her kid who looks, for all intents and purposes, so much so like a normal kid, that when he's in the middle of shooting up a school, his teacher locks eyes with him and says, I can't believe that's Ethan doing this. But somehow this mother was supposed to predict that was going to happen. And accordingly, we're just going to throw her in jail, potentially for the rest of her life. And frankly, I'll tell you this, as far as the punishment she's facing, likely it's not going to be the rest of her life. Okay, that's the only solace we can take from the idiocy here, because as Making Law Simple has pointed out, these four judgments are going to be running concurrently, and we can anticipate that, even if she would get the maximum of 15 years, which I don't think she's going to get the maximum of 15 years, it's likely the judge will probably shave that down, hopefully considerably. But this goes far beyond Jennifer Crumbley. Even if the judge gives her 5 years, okay? The judge gives her 5 years, and they count 2 years toward it, and a year from now, she's out on good behavior. That doesn't matter. That's not what this is about, ultimately. Do I think that the rest of her life, Jennifer Crumbley's life, is over? No. Almost certainly not. We don't know what the sentence is going to be, and the judge very possibly can recognize that this is such an unusual case that holding her to the full 15 years seems ridiculous. So hopefully the judge has that foresight. Hopefully the judge has the foresight to recognize there really is an intervening cause here. And that sentencing her to the full 15 years is wrong. Now, it might be that because there are 4 that are running concurrently, that the way that works in Michigan is that she won't be able to get out for good time for as easily. Because if there's multiple convictions, so you would imagine that perhaps she'll have to serve a greater percentage of the time that's allotted. However, we can foresee that, let's say 10 years from now, very likely she will be out of prison and be able to live the rest of her life. But this is not about Jennifer Crumbley. No, this is about holding someone to a yardstick that is now incumbent upon you as a parent. You as a parent are now being held responsible. Why? Because they're gun owner. This is an attack on gun owners. And specifically, let's not kid around here. Let's not skirt around the issue here. If Jennifer Crumbley was black, there's no way she would have been charged. And we know this because there are countless gangbangers out there running around who are not stopped or prevented by their parents, and none of these parents are charged. But if you're a white gun owner, oh my God, are the crosshairs on you? And God forbid if your kid ends up going psycho one day, to your utter shock and to the shock of everyone in your community who's like, oh my God, I never saw that kid doing this, that you now can be held accountable. This precedent has been set now, and it starts in Michigan, and we're going to see it in California, we'll see it in New York, and we're going to start seeing it in places all over the country now. God forbid. I mean, look, no one wants to see a school shooting ever again. I'm with you on that. We're all with you. We're all on the same page there. No one wants to see school shootings. But to start saying that we're going to hold a parent criminally liable for something that is so utterly inconceivable, so utterly unimaginable, that the teacher who's watching it happen is like, oh my God, that the school that morning can see him drawing disturbing imagery and not predict that he's anything other than a danger to himself. And this school, and this, is there any liability for the school? Hell no. They're the professionals, but hell no. No. Let's just go after the 2A parents. They're all in favor of Second Amendment. Let's go after them. Unbelievable. This is so messed up. This is so messed up. This is an authoritarian government. That's what this is. This is authoritarian. This is look, I don't want to overstate something because I'm inflamed and impassioned, okay? This is not fascism. This is a step in that direction. We are not living in a fascist country, okay? Joe Biden, as terrible and authoritarian as he is, you know, I don't like when people use hyperbole and say, "Oh, he's Hitler." No, he's not. Okay, he's, thank God, miles away from that kind of monstrousness. However, this is the road. This is the road towards saying we're going to take away your guns, we're going to take away your rights, we're going to start trying to figure out new ways to charge you that were unimaginable as recently as, 5 years ago, and all of a sudden we're just going to start implementing new ways of forcing the levers of power and control down upon those who we don't like, those who express opinions and somehow are tangibly related to any sort of horrific event. So we're going to say you're accountable now. Why? Because we don't like you. That's why. We don't like you. And we're all inflamed and we're all angry and we're all upset and justifiably angry. And again, I'm not mad at the parents. I'm not mad at the parents of these victims. Okay? Because you're a parent of a child who, God forbid, faces, who has their life cut down by some monster like this. I understand. You're not going to be thinking rationally, and you're going to be calling for anyone who's associated with the perpetrator to be punished as harshly as possible. But there's a reason why we're supposed to have a justice system. The justice system is supposed to serve as a buffer between the mob and injustice. That's the point. That's the point to having a justice system. When you have a district attorney's office who's able to be so corrupted politically to say we're going to go after people we don't like, and that's specifically white gun owners. That's what it is. That's what it is. Don't tell me for a second, I don't believe for a second that Jennifer Crumbley had any sort of melanin in her skin that she would have been prosecuted here. I don't buy it. Because we've seen countless times in far more woke cultures that they don't bother doing that.
They don't even think of doing that, where there's far more irresponsibility from the parents. But this was the perfect place at the perfect time for the state to start showing how much they can flex their muscle. And I want to point something out here. Branka, who I had on my show during the 24-hour stream, actually got me towards understanding a situation where perhaps a parent could and should be held responsible. A parent or a gun owner who gives them access to a gun, that I could see a situation where I would go along with it and say, you know what, that's a parent who should be punished. That would be a situation where the kid is clearly a psycho. If you told me that there was tons of evidence, which there's no evidence of this, but there was tons of evidence that this was a kid who was basically looking to punish his neighbors, who had displayed psychotic type of behavior, who had displayed a hatred towards society and a willingness and an eagerness to actually recklessly destroy lives, and then you told me that a parent enabled that, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. Who the heck puts the gun in the hands of a psychopath? You're an idiot. Just because it's your kid is an excuse. That it's like, oh, like you don't get a pass for that. Quite the contrary. As the state here is trying to imply. In that situation, you have a responsibility to make sure that we're not going to be arming psychopaths. But that's not the situation we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with a situation where Ethan Crumbley was presenting himself as a threat to society. If anything, the morning of the shooting, his own school counselor, who actually has some experience, supposedly, and the dean who's in charge of overseeing conduct and discipline in the school, who has some sort of experience in this, they viewed him solely as a threat to himself alone, not a threat to others, because if they viewed him as a threat to others, I am positive they would have sent him home. Never once did Hopkins, who brought the parents down that day, express to them, even ask them whether there's a gun, express anything other than concern that he was a danger to himself. But now society just wants to punish the mother for not having the foresight that everyone else in the school lacked also. Why? What's the disparity? What's the one thing that they all focus on as to why? Because she knew about the gun. It's not that she knew about the gun. It's that they got him the gun. It's that they believe in the Second Amendment. This is an attack on Second Amendment. That's what this is. It's gross. It's gross. This is complete injustice. This was in Michigan, those of you who... Now, I do want to be clear about one thing here. I see a lot of people throwing around the term precedent. The precedent is not set by this jury's finding. This is a common misconception that a lot of laypersons have. So I want to just clarify this for you. The precedent was set by the Michigan Supreme Court long before this came to trial. When they issued a decision saying this go forward, that was the precedent. That set the law in Michigan, and it sent a signal. So even if she would have been found not guilty, that precedent has already been set. But the negative thing that comes out of this, as far as harming society, not just in Michigan, but in other states as well, is it encouraged them to think, hey, a jury is happy to go along with this. That's the negative part. Not that the precedent of being allowed to do it is something that it was created today, but the capacity to have success in doing it is what was established just now. That's the problem. Because a lot of people would think most parents wouldn't want to go along with this because they recognize that their kids kind of messed up also. And this jury basically said, go ahead, aim your crosshairs at us too. Go ahead. So yeah, and this is not, look, the laws of the state of Michigan are not a precedent for anyone outside the four corners of Michigan. Okay. It's just that legal precedent that was set by the Michigan Supreme Court sends a signal to other DAs in other states that, hey, if we try this, maybe our highest court will recognize this as a valid approach, and they'll feel emboldened by the fact that Michigan has given their stamp of approval to it. So that's where that happened. The success in front of a jury basically says, hey, society's at a place right now where they're very happy to punish a mother. They're very, very happy to do it. Let me get some of the chats here. Jenny, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. I'm going to drop a little show. Thank you, Jenny. You're awesome. Stupid jury. Yeah. I'm not sure how this relates to Trump, but no, we're not China. We just think we are. And we're just allowing them to march through our border. Why do people even guess not guilty anymore? All trials are now guilty from here until forever. There's only wrath and no mercy left in Americans. They will devour anything put in front of them. You know, I think we took some solace from the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. That, you know, justice can prevail, but you literally need a videotape of every incriminating moment or potentially incriminating moment. Thank you, silence. Parents now expected to drug kids who act weird. Yeah, that's part of it also. That's a good point, Tim. Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. You're very kind. When you say previous cases, you mean other school shootings in Michigan? It's probably beyond the statute of limitation. No, involuntary manslaughter would be for life. I don't know. In theory. Usually death has no statute of limitations. Like any sort of murder-related charge has no statute of limitations. So, yeah, could be. In Michigan, at least. But it wouldn't be, again, it's not this jury's finding which does that. That's the decision of the Michigan Supreme Court, which said that this is okay, right? The difference is that now the DA is likely to think, hey, we can win this. We can win this, even with really scant evidence, even with really, really scant evidence that ties them in here. And yet, you know, I think that you're correct. I think that look, Shannon Smith, she's not a great lawyer. She's not. She made a lot of tactical errors. She's not a great lawyer. She just ain't. Okay. However, you know, I said this before that this is a jury that's starting from a place, and the only basis to try and give any sort of pass to the jury is that they're coming from a place where they, you know, in this jurisdiction, this community was rocked by this shooting. You know, so it's almost like they themselves are on a certain level victims. And that's why this never should have been held in Oakland County. This never should have been held in Oakland County. They should have been, I don't know, she brought a motion to try and have it removed to a different county in Michigan, but having it in Oakland is just ridiculous. How many people on that jury likely know someone whose parent was something? I don't know. I wasn't there for the voir dire, so I don't know what questions were on voir dire. I don't know, but I'm simply saying that this is really, really disturbing. This is very disturbing. How does Ethan being charged and I don't know implicitly recognize him as an intervening cause? Further, the school being immune is utter horse crap. Well, the only reason they're immune is because they're not being charged. That's the reason they're immune. It's a matter of that and that's why I say this is 2A. This is clamp down on parents who are supportive of 2A. That's what this is. And we walk through this whole thing, and yeah, it does seem wrong. It does seem really wrong that they could charge him as an adult and then still charge the parents based on their duty as a parent. If you told me that, and here's the thing, you know how I was, and this is just to bring home your point, Darshlu, I don't even know what happened to Darko Lush, to bring home your point. When I was giving the situation where I can go along with this, right? I mean, think about the situation that I said, you know what I can go along with this if the kid is obviously a psycho, right? I mean, you know, he's twisting the heads off of birds and, you know, saying how he wants the world to die. So, and then you put a gun in his hands or enable him easy access to a gun. I'd be like, yeah, there's something wrong with you for not recognizing the threat that he's posing to society that you're now empowering by handing him a weapon, giving him access to a weapon. But in that scenario, it's not their duty. It's not their role as a parent. It's their role as an adult in their environment. If you were someone else in their environment and you got him a gun, not a parent, I would say that person also who hands a psycho a gun could be held guilty of involuntary manslaughter because it's so predictable what the guy is going to do. But that's not punishing someone for being criminally punishing someone for being a poor parent. It's got nothing to do with their parental role, their parental duty. It's a matter of saying this is a person who is now empowering a psychopath. And that's the theory that to me makes sense. But when you talk about that you're going to punish a parent because you have a duty as a parent to society, has having nothing to do with the fact that you're empowering him, but that you have a duty to protect society from your kid going off. I mean, it's insane. It's really insane. It's really insane. It's very, very aggravating. It's very aggravating. Very aggravating. Anyway. I'm going to keep this short and get on out of here. This is very, very, very disturbing. Very disturbing. All right. I'll be back here this evening. I'm going to see if I can do a local show. That's a goodlogic.locals.com, goodlogic.locals.com. Please like, share, subscribe this video. It's short. You can share it. You can share it. Let people see my reaction to this. And yeah, I'm going to wish you all well. Try to stay happy. It's the bugs. Tucker's interviewing Putin on X. Interesting. All right. I'll try to check that out. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. And as always, Godspeed.